So, hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tosin Odewale with the Daily Hustle Entrepreneurs Edition, where I bring on a lot of my friends, associates, people that are real entrepreneurs that are actually doing business and doing it at a high level. Today, we have Benz Jean, a great friend of mine out of New Jersey in the real estate space, who definitely is a wealth of knowledge, experience, and information. And hey, Benz, man, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on with me today.
The pleasure is mine, man. I'm really happy. Thanks for the invite. And basically, let's make this happen. And, looking forward to 2021. And I'm proud of you over your, all the stuff that you've been doing, man.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So just kind of, just so we hop right into it, kind of tell us a little bit about your background, man, growing up, your inspirations and what kind of, puts you into the path or on the path that you're on now.
Okay. Well, for me, it might be a little bit different. Like, growing up, I grew up in New Jersey, originally from Haiti. I've been in the real estate game for almost like 19 years right now. So when I first started, I kind of basically started as a loan officer. Okay. For like almost 10 years. Yeah. But then when the market crashed in like 2007, 2008, I decided to become an investor, to invest into real estate, into flipping, which is what I'm doing now. Since then, I have not looked back, and I have flipped. I lost count of how many properties I have been, I flipped so far. But right now, this is exactly what I'm doing. My inspiration as a kid, always growing up, was always like, believe it or not, were the rappers.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the rappers was always my inspiration. But then I took a little bit from them and then a little bit of what's going on in the industry and kind of shaped myself, to the person that I am today. And I'm continuing learning, to make myself better.
Gotcha. So when it comes to real estate, it's something that everybody wants to get into. It's become very, very trendy, probably over the last 12 to 13 years. You have people that are trying to invest in foreclosures. Of course, people want to flip and do what you do. Wholesaling is extremely trendy now. But there's not a lot of people that actually do it at a high level or do it right or actually successful in it. There's not too many people that can say they've lost count of how many properties they flip. So that speaks to your experience. What, I guess, gave you that experience, or what allowed you to kind of understand the system and the strategy to where you could actually make it a full-time business and a career that's spanned, what you said, 19 years?
Yes. Well, for me, everyone is going to be a little bit different. Like for me, I have my ups and downs in the business. Yeah. So there's times I lose money on flips. There's times I make money on flips. Sometimes some flips make up for the others. Yeah. But in the meantime, it's definitely a learning experience. It's going to be a long journey. Yeah. I have wholesale deals where I don't invest none of my money, that I make $30,000, $40,000 in wholesale deals. But I have properties I invested over $150,000 of my money, and the return is only 20 grand. So basically, it's just that everyone has to find a niche that works for them. Yeah. I made a lot of mistakes, and most of my mistakes was due to inexperience, not knowing what to do. Usually I hire a contractor, give them my money, thinking they're going to do what they're supposed to do, but they're not doing it. Yeah. But over the years of me losing money, I kind of changed my strategy. So right now, I'm in a space where I have my own contracting team that working for me, who's on payroll on a regular basis. So they done from one job, they go to the next. Or somebody might be working at this site. I feel like, okay, they don't know how to do sheetrock. Why don't we move them to the other place? Or why don't we move them into cleaning? Those kind of things. Same thing with electricians, same thing with plumbing. So right now, I'm very hands-on. For me not to fall behind, because for me not being hands-on, I'm not one of those big guys who have a corporation, even though I might flip like 22 houses a year. But in the meantime, for every project that I'm doing, I know exactly what's going on into the projects. And with my team as well helping me, we get feedback from one another, and that's how we're able to do it.
So flipping, the way you flip properties, it's not just buy low and sell high. It's actually, how do I mitigate my expenses throughout the whole process? So instead of paying a contractor 10 grand to do sheetrock for this house, he's on payroll throughout the entire year. and he's going to move to wherever I put him.
That's our strategy right now. Okay. So because we have lost so much money, like a lot of times, I will pick on a flip. I'm thinking like, all right, we're going to make $40,000 or we're going to make $50,000. Next thing I know, I lost count in a way like, oh man, I don't even know how much money that I'm losing on that flip. Because what happened is that like most people doesn't understand who's not in the game. When you fire a contractor, you bring another one up, the price is always going to be a lot more. And they all criticize one another. So it's like going to a barbershop, the guy usually cut your hair every week. And the following week, you go back to him because you got a haircut somewhere else. No matter how good the haircut is, it's going to tell you, who the hell did give you that cut? It's the same way in the real estate business where you find contractors like, basically they will take on the job and then after 3-4 days, they basically disappear, or basically instead of bringing more men, they bring in less men because they try to keep more money in their pocket. So with that, like I would say that's the core of the business. By managing, you got to have a lot of commitment and a lot of management skills in order for you to be successful in this business. No matter how much productivity you're doing on a deal, it's like, all right, so you want to make sure everybody's in place. You're spending the right amount of money. And then on a weekly basis, you touch base with your assistant or whoever you have to see where you're at with that project. So that's how you're able to manage it.
Okay. Oh, so how do you find the deals that you choose to say, you know what, I'm going to flip this property? Because I mean, you have to find a good deal. You have to make sure you find something that has, a margin on it, where there's equity or because you're not doing it for free. So how do you identify which property you're going to pull the trigger on? And of course, sometimes you may make a mistake and you may lose money on that deal, but how do you identify?
For me, I get deals from many different avenues. I used to do a lot of share sales, and I also used to do a lot of online auctions. Okay. And also, I create a lot of relationship over the years. I don't burn any of my relationship. Like, for example, somebody called me yesterday in Newark, New Jersey for a deal that I went and looked at about 1.5 years ago. They finally approved the short sale. He's like, listen, I know I told you I was going to give you the deal. Now this is the deal. So let's do it. So that was over 1.5 years ago. I forgot I even looked at that deal. Yeah. And he came back to me because of my loyalty or the way that I have dealt with him in the past and gave me the deal. So that's how I do it. It's mainly a lot of relationship. Same thing with realtors. Same thing like if I go to the sheriff's sale, like, my colleagues, my associates, if I'm bidding on a property, I would say like, listen, Tosin, I want this property, let me get this one. Next week, if you're bidding on another one that's going to be yours, I'll back off. That's just the way it is. It's all about relationship.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So I've been to a share sale one time in Newark, and I just went there just because I just wanted to go and kind of watch and see how things were going. I wanted to see if that could be an avenue I could use to buy some properties. What's your strategy for bidding on properties at sheriff sales? Because when I went, there was a lot of people there, and a bid, it can drive the price up. So like, what's your your strategy for
my strategy is like, after a while, who are the main players that basically is going to the sheriff sales. Yeah. Sometimes I might not even go to the sheriff sale. I could call a friend of mine that buy more properties than me. I just tell him like, can you pick that one up for me? And then he'll pick it up. Okay. And basically it's more so of a relationship.
Gotcha.
Like, there are many times I have not gone into the sheriff sale. It's like, he's not my partner. He's just a colleague, just like I talk to you all the time. We could bounce some ideas from each other. Me and him bounce ideas from each other. Right now, this gentleman, he owns about like 189 properties in New Jersey. So he buy a lot more than me. So on a monthly basis, he might pick up 3-4 properties from me. It's not charging me any extra or whatever the case may be. And although I was the first one who brought him to the sheriff's cell.
Yeah.
So that's how it is. And then it's like, it's a clique. It's a clique, especially if you're in Essex County, if you're in Union County, everybody knows each other. It's like everyone knows who's bidding, who's buying, who's not buying. So some guys, they might come to assist. They just want to look at it. But there's guys who are buying. So sometimes it's like, okay, before the sheriff sale started, you might talk to like 20 guys. Listen, I know you usually buy on the South Ward. Listen, I got this property at 789 South 16th Street. I got my eye on it, whatever. All right, handshake. We're not going to go after you. This is what it is.
Yeah. That's my neck of the woods. I actually just sold a property at 810 South 17th Street. in the South Ward.
Nice. So that's your neighborhood. So, it's definitely that's the strategy of doing it. And then my other way of is like, I have a lot of realtors who manage properties for banks, and basically they the one who's doing the eviction for the banks. Sometimes it might take 6 months, it might take a year, but we do so much of the volume. So it's like every month, every 2 months, we always have 2-3 properties. So it's like, that's never really an issue for us.
So have you ever had any issues dealing with the banks? Because I did. I was trying to buy a single family home in Irvington. What street was it on? It wasn't Stuyvesant. It was, damn. Do you know where that, I'm trying to remember the area. It's like, it's supposed to be like the worst part of Irvington.
Okay, so you 18th Ave.
It wasn't 18th Ave. 18th Ave goes past it though. There's like a fire department that's on that street, and across from that fire department is like a car dealership or something like that.
Ellis Avenue.
Yeah. Ellis Avenue. So I was
Ellis Avenue. I wouldn't even buy a property if you give it to me for free in that block.
Oh man, I saw a bank. It was an REO over there for $22,000. And I was like, okay, cool. I could buy this cash. I could, I went, took a tour of the property. I was like, I could probably fix it up for 20, 30,000. And, I could probably get rid of it for 70 or 80. That's what I was thinking. And so I put my offer in with the bank. They accepted my offer. We were going through the whole due diligence period or whatever. And then during that time, somebody broke in, stole all the copper. And so I contacted the bank and I'm like, hey, like, you guys are supposed to like secure the property. Like, I want to change my offer now. Like, because now that affects my budget. And they said, and they just killed the deal. They was like, you know what? No, and just killed the deal. And like
that's how they are. They don't care. So it's an REO. So basically they're not gonna dump any money into it. So with them, they already they losing money. They're losing money because they would rather go back to the investor and negotiate it with the investor so they could try to get it at a lower price. But sometimes it might take 3 to 4 months, 5 months, 6 months before they do it. And it's the same thing with the auction. Remember, with the auction, like online, you're not supposed to go inside of the properties.
Yeah.
So no matter what happened, if you're able to get inside, look at it, or whatever the case may be, anything that happened during the whole process, they're not responsible for it. They're not responsible for it. So what I always look at is that I always do my profit margin. I work my profit margin backwards, just in case if anything happens. Sometimes, whether if it's going to be a contractor, if it's going to be theft, whatever it is, to make sure that I'm successful on that deal. Yeah. So, for the most part, with more experience now, I'm able to get some of the deals where I make a lot more money. And I did a lot of wholesale deals as well, too. I make more money on wholesale deals than me fixing property. But the problem is with the wholesale deals is that most people, like, they all said they're investors, but they're not really investors. They're gonna, like, basically keep willing you in. They give you a deposit because they try to wholesale that property themselves.
Yeah. So, like, how do you kind of get around all the people that are, fronting as an investor, but they're just trying to maybe wholesale or broker it? And they're kind of driving up the prices, affecting your profit margins and all that stuff. How do you just stick with the same people that feed you properties, the agents, the banks, the relationships, or are you open to?
Yeah, no, I stick with the relationship. This is what we do in my office. What we do in my office over the years, let's say over the years, if I sold 60 or 70 properties, wholesale deals. Yeah. So we know all these investors are. Yeah. So what we do, we'll send a blast email to all these investors to see who bites first. If they don't bite, then I go outside.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then another way I do it, there's guys who are true wholesalers, meaning what they do, they have a marketing agency where they're marketing properties all day into their platform. They probably never bought a property in their lives, but what they do, they wholesale deals as it's their own. So I will go to one of those guys who has those platforms, who has like 5, 6, 10,000 people, cash buyers in their email. And then they know some of these buyers who could actually buy it. Like, I will call a guy, I would say, like, listen, I got a property in Walway. And he would say, okay, I know exactly who might be interested in it. He's also marketing it for me as well. He's adding his number on top, or sometime I have to take a hit to make sure he gets paid.
You know what? I think that's how I met you. I had a property I was trying to wholesale about 5 years ago in Jersey City, and Douglas Beck.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly. He wholesale a lot of my properties to me.
and I told him, I said, hey man, find me a buyer for this. And he sent me your information.
My information, because at the time I was buying a lot of properties in Jersey City at the time. So
Got
that's how he knows who's gonna deliver, which is
Got
the same strategy I just told you. Is the same way.
Okay, makes sense. Small world New Jersey is.
Yeah, small world, and it's also a small circle who really could deliver or really can't deliver. Because
Exactly.
a lot of times you go to places, you meet a lot of people, a lot of networking events. Everybody wants to be an investor. Like you said, it's a trend. Everybody wants to be an investor. But there are real investors. There are people who wants to be. But there's nothing wrong with that. Because at one point, I was that person who wanted to be.
So another thing in real estate, and I'm going from the when I started, and I was trying to build a new construction, a duplex new construction in the South Ward. And, I got my architectural drawings done. I bought the property cash. It was free and clear. And I was trying to find a contractor who would, build this house for me. And I got quoted a number that was ridiculously high, but I didn't know because I never did a new construction before. And it wasn't for the relationships that I had built in the Newark City Hall. When every time I would come in to submit revisions for my architectural plans, I would, I'm cool with them. So I'd just be telling them the progress and this, that, and the third. And I say, hey, I found a contractor looking to build this for me for $260. And they told me, they said, nah, that's not right, man. That's
high. That's high.
high.
Even today's, imagine back then, right now, for you to build like a 2-family in Newark right now, from the ground up, or it all depends on the square footage.
Yeah.
It could be 77. I would say right now, probably $70 a square foot or whatever it is. All the numbers, you should be between 190 and 225,000 to build that house.
Right. So what I learned from that is that if you don't really know your numbers, if you don't really study all aspects of what you're trying to do, I always say somebody can sell you a Toyota for a Mercedes-Benz price if you don't know how much a Toyota costs.
Which is correct. So that's why you got to do your homework. You always want to, the thing is, the one thing about real estate is always good to network with other people that's already doing it. Yes. And if you're not doing it, find yourself a mentor, find somebody who could hold your hands to do it. Like, let's say, for example, if I had never built home, I remember the first time we were building a house, I never done it. At the time, I contacted someone that I know that's already doing it. Him, at the same time, he never done any rehab. All he's been doing is building. So he needs me and I need him.
Got you. So finding ways that you can kind of be mutually beneficial to each other.
You always got to bring something to the table.
Correct.
There's always have to be something. Or that same person, if they're having a hard time getting hard money, their funds doesn't have money this month, maybe since they know I flip, they know I could call someone for them who will be able to provide the funds for them to get the property done.
Okay. So as far as like funding your deals, I'm pretty sure sometimes you use just your own cash and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you may say, you know what, I use a hard money lender or a mortgage or whatever. How do you identify which route you're going to go to actually buy something?
All right. For me, if the property doesn't require a whole lot of work, if it's really like, paint basics, if I have my money at the time, I'm going to use my money to get it done.
Okay.
But if it needs a little bit more, like anything I consider over like $30,000 of work, basically I'm going to use hard money, and which is what I've been doing. And there are times I don't use hard money. I have private investors, people who are working class people that I could call and say, listen, I'm trying to get this deal. I need $200,000 to get this deal done. Whether I pay them a percentage, 10%, 15% on their money, whatever the case may be. There's always a way.
Okay, cool. And again, how do you build the trust for people to, that are middle class working people that maybe all they have is $40,000 in savings? And so how do you get them to trust you to say, okay, they're going to give you 25 to put into a deal?
Usually what I do, I usually draw up like I have my attorney draw up a contract saying that I'm buying the property. This is the address. And basically everything is being done. It's like a note.
Okay.
It's like a note. It's notarized and everything, except there's no mortgage recorded if I have a first on it. But if I don't have a first mortgage, they could record that $40,000 as a note on it. And then at closing, they will get paid that money. Okay.
So for people that don't understand like the lingo and the terminology, what is a first mortgage? What is a lien? What are all these things that have to be inside that promissory note in order to be able to move forward?
A first mortgage, it's like when you have a bank that basically provide you the money to purchase the property. So basically, they usually, most of the time, they lend you between 80% to 90% of the purchase of the property. So they have first lien position. That's basically what it is. Or vice versa, too, so people would understand. So let's say if Dawson had 200,000, he gave me the whole 200,000 to purchase the property. Then I need money to fix it. Then that person who's going to give me the money to fix it going to be going to be in a second position where they could put a lien against the property that they lend me $40,000 to protect them just in case if anything do happen.
So it's basically people are in the line as to who has right to foreclose.
Who has right to do it. But by law, if you already have a lien, if you already has a first lien position, you're supposed to notify the bank to let you know that you're going to put a second, unless it's a HELOC or either a line of credit. If it's not that, any type of other lien you're going to put on the property, you're supposed to notify the bank. You know, it's by law, because when you sign the mortgage documents, you're basically stating you're not going to put a second mortgage on.
Yeah.
But it's done every day. Nobody gets in trouble. You understand?
As long as you notify the bank. And
correct.
So, so you kind of, have spent the last 19 years in like the residential space. Would you ever consider getting into the commercial space and doing the similar thing as far like flipping?
Right now, believe it or not, I'm in the process. I have a partner who's actually already doing that. He's been doing a lot of commercial space, affordable houses. He's actually, he has one on Broad Street in Newark that he just built, which is a 86 units. He just built. Me and him actually just partner up. We actually gonna build five 2-families in Irvington on 17th Street. We're in the process of doing that, and then we have another contract to build a 30 units in Ewing, New Jersey. So, he's basically taking me under his wings to show me the commercial space, to understand affordable houses, everything else. How does everything go? Which is totally different for me. And for the past year, we've been working on it.
Okay.
So which is, I'm learning from him right now. He's been doing that, but in the meantime, he'll like to jump on my side because the money come quicker.
It's very interesting when you put that into perspective, is that you could be super, super successful and have all the experience in a specific niche of an industry. But if you want to go to another niche in that same industry, it's like you have to learn a whole nother.
No, you have to exactly. And I agree. And with him, he's been teaching me everything about the whole building, because he's already built 3 himself.
Okay.
So I'm learning so much from the land, how you buy the land, how the land has to be ready for them to do it. How do they resell the land to other people? How do now they have to go apply for tax credit? They have to apply for a lot of stuff. How he go get a partner to come into the project for $87 million.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Where him, at the time, it was also a learning process for him, because even though he was the one who found everything, he had to go get a partner. Believe it or not, they only gave him 5% of the project. Really? So now that he learned the process, he's not using any partners.
That's crazy. And he didn't know that.
And he had already did 3. His first one cost him $110 million to build, which was like almost 140 units. Second one was like 96. The third one was like maybe 80, whatever it is. So he's right now, he's actually going on it by himself to do it.
Gotcha. Okay, that's dope.
Because there's so much involved for management fee, because it's a lot of carrying costs. What happened, a normal person, if you don't have the right resources, you're not going to be able to survive to build such a big project. So that's why most of people, they like yourself, they have funds, who's basically behind them in order for them to do it. And sometimes, being who we are as, I guess, a Black person, whatever the case may be you want to say it, it's not easy for somebody to trust you with $120 million.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been running into that. I have a $100 million fund, and, you talk to a lot of institutional investors to where you're trying to get them to cut you a $5 or $6 or $7 million check. And they're like, how old are you again? And they're like, you look like you're 25. And then, so hold on, you want $8 million from us? And it's like, yeah, it's kind of difficult to kind of get through that first stage of credibility to get running, but it's a process. It's possible, it's doable. And it's all about just kind of, networking, finding out how to get the problem done, get the problem solved. And
you are correct. And which is like I told you, he did 3 projects. So now he pays dues right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So doing those 3 projects, he could use those in his resume to approach somebody and said, listen, I have done these 3 projects. This is what it is. And they do exist. My name on them. So this is what it is. Now the door is a lot more open. Even like right now, he found somebody who's black, is a black investor who's willing to come into the project with like $10 million. Where before, 2 years ago, that would not happen.
That would not happen. Gotcha. So track record is extremely important when you want to start scaling into those larger developments and large scale things.
Which is correct. And then, you know, the track record basically means more than money and credit.
Yeah, it does. Because the history is the proof that you can do what you said you do. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. And that's exactly what it is. And then, you know, it's a new path. It's going to be a new journey for me, going into the commercial space, which is we're going to be doing a lot of that. And then one thing I have started myself, I started going to a lot of luxury homes I started doing last year, which is totally brand new to me. So, you know, I had to get out of the hood for a little bit to start building, like, you know, a better resume of certain areas. Gotcha. And so now I'm doing a lot of luxury homes, which is our 3rd one we're doing right now. So, you know, I'm definitely learning. I'm looking forward into 2021 to do bigger things.
That's interesting. So it's not just having a track record, but having a diversified track record, low income housing, middle class housing, $1 million houses type thing, which I think is
correct
now, right?
Which is correct. And then which is like, you know, when you bring all that to the table and basically they no one is afraid of giving you money or lending you money because they see you have the diversity. And then especially we know redlining do exist. Yeah. We know that for a fact. Redlining do exist. Most areas, you know, if I'm only doing properties in only Essex County, for those who doesn't know, only in the hood, in the Newark, Irvington area, another investor is not going to trust me to give me money. And there are times I have went to my heart. One time I had a deal in Jersey City, 91 Clinton Avenue in Jersey City. I took it to a hard money company called Realty Share. When I took the deal, they told me it's a high crime area. Unfortunately, they will not be able to lend me money. So what I did, I went to a different lender, which I think I ended up going to a patch of land in California, and they gave me the money. They didn't redline me on that. And then when I had the property, I sat for a year. Another gentleman came in and offered me $100,000 more than what I paid for, without even doing no work.
Wow! I
sold it to him. A year later,
1 year
that same property, he sold it for $677,000.
What the hell? What the?
And then in the meantime, that area was supposed to be a high crime area.
Yeah.
91 Clinton Avenue in Jersey City. I will never forget that address for.
That is crazy. That's crazy. So like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, not just in real estate, but just in life in general, as far as just what your 2026 is going to look like to you?
Try to diverse multiple portfolio as far as like not only in real estate, which I wasn't doing before. Right now, I started doing it last year. So I also own a credit company called Epic Credit Solution, which I help people fix their credit. And then I actually just got into the trucking business, which I own like 2 trucks right now. And then in the process of buying more. And then one thing I always wanted to do is to get into the restaurant business, which is we have a few under contract, but the lawyers are killing the deals, which is, that's something as a kid, believe it or not, I always wanted to be an owner of a restaurant. Or either not a lounge, but a fine dining restaurant.
Yeah, cool. Well, hey man, I have some experience in the restaurant space. I'm gonna tell you this, man. The liquor license is gold. That is probably gonna be where you're gonna make most of your money. The margins on the food is not that high. It could be between like 6 and 13%. But the margin on alcohol, oh my God, it is.
Everybody get drunk.
Like 500%, man. It's like 500%. So yeah, the liquor license definitely is going to be your goal. But yeah, hey man, I appreciate you taking the time to spend some time with me, man. I think the audience is going to get a lot of game out of this interview. Can you give us like your contact information and your social, so if people want to follow you or get in contact with you for like mentorship or advice or whatever?
Yes. Well, I'm easy to find. I'm on Instagram under Benz _Jean which is my main page, and I also own a company called Lakai Homes, which is LAKAY Homes. That's also on Instagram, and I have Epic Credit Solution, which is my credit company as well. That's one way of getting in contact with me. And also they could look for the Benz Jean Academy, which is already online. We already got the pre-launch of the Academy, which should be going on in the next month or so.
All right, sounds good, man. Well, hey, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you having. For everybody that's watching this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you follow my guest, Benz Jean. He provides a ton of value. And I know that if you follow him on his Instagram and you follow his Facebook pages or wherever he is online, you're going to get a lot of value. So, hey, man, see you soon, man. I'll be in New Jersey in a little while, man.
I'll see you. We'll get a drink when you get here. All right? Got it, brother. Take care. Bye-bye.